We're continuing with Paris 4 days. We left off here at the Louvre. The Louvre stands at the far end of the Tuileries Gardens. The palace and the gardens of the Louvre cover more than 40 acres. They are the result of almost continuous work from the 17th to the 20th century. And are in various styles. From the Tuileries Gardens, one comes across flower beds designed in 1909, which are on the site of the Tuileries Palace, which was destroyed in 1871. A group of 18 statues by Milo precedes the Arc de Triomphe du Carrousel. The building alongside the scene is the Pavilion des Fleurs, and facing this on the other side of the garden is the Pavillon de Marsan. Cross the Place du Carrousel to reach the so-called Nouveau Louvre. This was built in the 19th century by Pierre and Fontaine under the First Empire, and by Visconti and Lefeuille under the Second Empire. Finally, through the famous square courtyard, you reach the Vieux Louvre, which is the Old Louvre. Here you can see the 16th century frontage by Pierre Lescot and the colonnade by Claude Perrault. Once the Palace of Kings and Princes of France, the Louvre is now the Palace of the Arts, one of the richest museums in the world. So the new Louvre is Nouveau Louvre, built in the 19th century, and the old one is built in the 16th century. It's called Vieux Louvre. Okay. The Jardins de Louvre and the statues by Milo. And the Arc de Triomphe de Carrousel, illuminated at night. The Louvre Museum contains Greco-Roman antiquities. Entrance has Porte Denon or Porte Barbe de Jouy. Oriental antiquities as well. Cour Carré. Also sculptures. The entrance Porte de la Tremoille. Objects d'art, colonnade rooms, and paintings. Entrance Porte Denon. Plan General de Louvre. It's like a long corridor, then a long rectangular section, then a square section. Res de Chaussée. So the sections of the Louvre are Pavillon des Fleurs, which is a really long section, and then Porte de Lions is connecting to Pavillon de Etats, which is another long section. Then you have a Porte la Tremoille, then Guches du Carrousel, then another section which is rectangular in shape. There's an entry principal, then Galerie Molien, then Porte de Non and Porte Barbel de Jouy, and Salle du Manege is like in the middle, and then Galerie Daru. Then at the far end is Victoire de Semotrache and Cour du Sphinx on the end of it. Then a connection is Rodonde that connects to a square section or building, and in the square section you have Pavillon des Arts. Then if you go counterclockwise, Venus de Milo, then Crypte Passage des Arts, and then all the way to the end of one section, Escalier Champollion. Then you have on another side Galerie Henry the Fourth, and then Porte Champollion, then Crypte de Saint-Germain les Auxerrois, then Escalier Asiatique, I guess Asiatic floor, and then on another side, Crypte Marengo, and on the final side of the square, Escalier Henry the Fourth, Crypte Sully, Porte Henry the Second, and Escalier Henry the Second. Okay, so those are all that, and then what else? And on another more descriptions, you have, let's see, Premier Etage, I guess, let's see, Pavillon de Flore, we did Collection Biestegui, Aile de Flore, Cabinet Tuileries, Galerie Médicis, Cabinet Scene, Salle Van Dyck. That's in the long section. Then the rectangular section, Escalier Molien, La Grande Galerie, Ancien Salle Beistegui, Salle des Etats, La Joconde, Salle Molien, Salle Denon, Salle Daru, Escalier Daru, Salle des Sept Maîtres, Salon Carré, Galerie d'Apollon, Salle. Okay, then you have a connection to the square section, Salle de Bijoux. Oh wait, we forgot. In the rectangle, we have also Salle Percier et Fontaine, Salle du Châtel. So, okay, back to the square. Galerie Campana, Salle de Sept Cheminées, And then Salle de Bronces Antiquis, I guess bronze. Let's see. Salle de la Colonade, Salle de la Colonade, Salle, that's one side of a square. I mean the second side. Then the third side, Salle Bouillet. Then the fourth side, the third side, Salle Empire. Then the final side, Salle Etrusque. Salle de Bronzes, which we just mentioned, was here. Escaler Henry II, Salle Musulmane, que es Muslim. Pavillon de la Horloge, Salle Schlichting, Pavillon de la Horloge. So those are all the sections. The victory of Samothrace, BC 2 and 3 century BC. And Venus de Milo, end of the 2nd century BC. I think the statue is missing its head, if I'm not mistaken. Then Portrait of Jean d'Aragon by Raphael, 1483 to 1520. The Slave by Michel-Ange, 1475, 1564. Okay. The Gioconda, Leonardo da Vinci by in the 1452 through 1519. Wind shading. Glane Swiss Millet, 1814 to 1875. They're like picking grass or hay or something. Okay. So this is Leonardo da Vinci, 1452, and Gioconda. Suzanne bathing the Tintoret, 1518 to 1594, and then the Gypsy Cavarage, 1573 through 1610. Cana Wedding Berenice, 1528 to 1588. They're actually very good paintings. Okay. They're like flawless. And then the Guilles, Antoine Watteau, 1684 to 1721. And the place and the colonnades de Loire, shown here, it's like really huge. And there are cars in front of it. I don't know if you can tell. So day 2B, the Church of Saint-Germain-l'Auxerrois. So we're gonna assume that we slept over at the Louvre at night and woke up and continued our journey and our trip through Paris. The Church of Saint-Germain-l'Auxerrois. This building was started in the 12th century over the site of a former Merovingian sanctuary. It was finished in the 16th century. The facade has a Gothic-style porch and 5 arcades. Of particular interest inside the church warden's pew, carved in wood by Mercier, 1682. There are also some beautiful stained glass windows dating from the end of 15th century. Église Saint-Germain-l'Auxerrois, the town hall of the first arrondissement, or ward, is on the left of the bell tower. Rue de Rivoli. This street runs parallel to the Seine from Bastille to Concorde. The Tuileries garden are on one side, and the 19th century townhouses on the other side, with their arcades spanning the pavement. The street was named after Napoleon's victory over the Austrians at Rivoli. The royal palace, Le Palais Royal. Richelieu had the palace built, and on his death in 1642, bequeathed it to Louis XVIII. It then became known as the Palais Royal. Like, when you look at these buildings and then you see the buildings and they like look really majestic, then you see the cars parked in front and they're kind of out of place. Like, it's like an anachronism, like, because the time of the buildings doesn't match with the time of the cars, kind of. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay, and then the Gardens du Palais Royal. The Duke of Orleans, or younger brother of Louis XIV, was given the palace by the king. It has remained the property of the Orleans family ever since. The Regent Philip of Orleans, in the 18th century, gave the palace its present appearance. His son, the future Philippe Égalité, father of King Louis Philippe, has apartments and shops built or had in 1786, which he let out to rent. The gardens, shops, cafes, and gaming houses were very busy until 1840. Today they are fewer there are fewer shops and the district is much quieter. The buildings house the Council d'État and the Council Constitutionnel and the various departments concerned with fine arts. The gardens are an unexpected haven of peace close to the Grand Boulevard and the Place de l'Opéra. The Théâtre Français. Built by Louis for the Duke of Orleans as an annex to the Palais Royal, the Théâtre Français has been the home of the Comédiens Français since 1792. They were granted their own charter by Napoleon I in 1812. Inside there are many statues, including one or two masterpieces such as the famous Voltaire by Houdon. This is showing the Place du Théâtre Français. Excuse me. The Saint Roch Church, Rock. In front of this church on 5th October 1795, the 13th Vendémiaire year III, a decisive street battle took place which marked the beginning of the prodigious political career of Napoleon Bonaparte. The Saint Roch Church contains many works of art. In the chapels are the remains of famous men, Corneille Diderot, Lenotre, Corneille, the Place des Pyramides, and the statue of Joan d'Arc. In the Place des Pyramides, standing slightly back from the Rue de Rivoli, facing the Tuileries and the Louvre, stands a statue by Fremier of Joan d'Arc on horseback. It is at the very place where the wounded was during the battle to free Paris in 1429. So this is showing Pyramides Square, and then that's the statue of Joan d'Arc. It says, go back to the underground railway station Concorde and take Porte de la Chapelle North 12 line. Get off at Abysses Station. Abysses. It looks like it's bronze statue. I don't know what she's doing up there. No, just kidding. Notre Dame de Lorette Church, built on the lines of the first Christian basilics in Rome by the architect Hippolyte Libas between 1823 and 1896, Sacré-Cœur in the background. So in the foreground is Notre Dame de Lorette Church. It's a lovely shot, showing both things, structures at one time. quite lovely. The Basilica of the Sacré-Cœur and the Montmartre. The building of this church was made possible by donations. The work was started in 1876 and finished in 1910. It was dedicated in 1919. The main structure supports many small domes with a huge central dome surmounted by a belfry 80 meters above the ground. The belfry holds one of the biggest bells in the world, La Savoyarde, which weighs 19 tons. Savoyarde means the bell, special kind of bell. Yeah, Savoyarde. There is also a large crypt. There is a wonderful view over Paris from the terrace in front of the basilica. Basilica of Sacré-Cœur from 1876 to 1910. So, at least there's no cars in front of this one. There is a musician playing his accordion. And that's the same thing. The Sacré-Cœur Basilica. And there's a rack railway next to it. Not sure what it is. Some kind of rail system. Okay. Pretty nice. There's like arches all around, flower-shaped windows. There's like statues on it, like different parts. Sometimes between the arches. There's like horsemen statues. Those are horsemen, if you can see it. Like that black and that one, those are statues. And that's a white statue in between the arch. I don't know how they get those in there. It's crazy. The basilica, this one also, is illuminated at night. All around the Sacré-Cœur wind the narrow streets and picturesque railways of old Montmartre. Streets such as the Rue de Saules, Rue Saint-Vincent, Rue du Mont-Cenis, Rue de Chevalier de la Barre, may famous by artists and writers who live there. At the corner of Rue des Saules and Rue Saint-Vincent is the famous cabaret Le Lapin Aguille. Behind the Sacré-Cœur, the Place du Tertre, lined with trees and small houses, is still frequented by many painters who work and display their paintings in the open air. The only two remaining mills, Moulin Le Radet and Moulin Rouge of the old village of Montmartre, stand among trees between Avenue Junot and Rue Lepic. This area with its many nightclubs is perhaps best visited at night when it really comes alive. At the foot of Rue Lepic, Boulevard de Clichy, Place Blanche, Place Pigalle, and lower down the first streets up to Montmartre, the Bohemian quarter of cabaret singers and Boîte de Nuit, the nightclubs, all of which comes alive at night. Hence, they're called nightclubs. So, due to better contrast, the structure looks more amazing at night. You can see all the details much better. All the details pop out more. It's all stone, obviously. And the inside, it's called, it says, the choir of the Basilica. I guess that's inside. There's like stairs. It's like a circular area. There's like a church, basically. There's tall candles. Columns, or arches, I'm sorry, not columns. Yeah. And a really high ceiling. Montmartre, la rue de Chevalier de la Barre. So it's a street that runs next to the cathedral. They have like brick paths and, you know, they're tiny little streets. The Cabaret du Lapin Aguille. Oh my god, I hate this glare. It's ridiculous. The Poubot of Montmartre. There's little kids here that are playing instruments on the street. You can see in red, white, and black uniforms with little drums and such. There's a lot of people. You got some buildings there. Okay. It's a little shack, kind of. Like some sort of cafe or something. The Place du Tertre is some kind of cafe also. The Place du Tertre. They have paintings over here exhibited. In the street. Saint Pierre de Montmartre Church. It's a very small city. I mean, like this area is just the part where you have little streets, like chairs and just sitting areas all over the place, cafes and stuff. There's paintings on easels, trees, lamps, posts. The Moulin Rouge looks like some kind of club, a restaurant, a club. This is like comic. I guess it's showing the Moulin Rouge, like dancers inside. And then this is Place Pigalle. This is a fountain where all the clubs are and everything. And this is Place Clichy. It's like a street with a statue. A lot of buildings. Okay, we're gonna take a pause, people. So my page is facebook.com, YosAllplay, YOSALLPLAY. So I'll see you guys later. We'll continue in the next part.